everybody, it's Pastor Simon and Christian here to welcome you to think about what happened that first Easter week. But Christian, wow, look at you, you've still got flour on your face. Was that from the game? No, you've been baking a cake. Wow, yeah, I can see this cake, and it's a birthday cake. Oh, your hat's fallen off. There we are. Put your hat back on. Why have you baked a birthday cake? Because you feel sorry because some people are having their birthdays in lockdown and they can't have a party. So you wanted to bake a cake and wish anyone who's got a birthday during the lockdown a happy birthday. So we sing happy birthday then to people to remember birthdays. Okay, are we ready? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday dear. Everyone's got a party in lockdown. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, we need to blow out the candles. Okay, you ready, kids? Let's blow out the candles on 3. 1, 2, 3. I don't think you were blowing out the candles. Can you try a bit harder? Okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. Keep going. Whoa, well done. Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, really, thank you for that. And if it has been your birthday, let us know. We might be able to get you a bit of birthday cake to you, because birthdays are special. We remember birthdays every year. They're a really special occasion to remember the day we were born. And yeah, that links in with what happened on that first Maundy Thursday. Because Maundy Thursday is what the Jews called the Passover. And it was a party. And they used to come for a great party to celebrate together. Now, they weren't celebrating their individuals' birthdays. As it were, they were celebrating the birthday of their whole nation, of the people of Israel, the Jews. They were celebrating their birthday. Why were they celebrating it? Because they remember that they were slaves in Egypt and they couldn't be their own nation. They couldn't do what they wanted. They had to do what other people told them to do, who were cruel to them and not nice to them. And God rescued them. God chose someone called Moses, and he said, Moses, you need to take my people out of Egypt. And Moses did some amazing things. And eventually God said, if you don't let my people go to the Egyptians, I'm going to send a terrible thing to you. And your firstborn children will all die of flocks and birds and humans and everyone. But the Egyptians wouldn't listen. But God said he would protect his people. And they would protect his people if they sacrifice a lamb and they put the blood of that lamb on the door. And so when that night came, that's what they did. And then they had a quick meal. They didn't have time for a proper meal, so they had to make special bread. I've got some bread here, you see that? Some special thin bread, a bit like our crackers, called unleavened bread. And they cooked that bread, they had their meal, they put the blood on the doors, and God protected them. And then they went out of Egypt, and God rescued them from Egypt, and they became a nation. So every year at Passover, they celebrate this meal together. And they don't have a birthday cake like you do for your birthdays. What they have something called unleavened bread. And they eat that. And they also have wine to remember the lamb that was sacrificed and put on their doors. And they remember how God rescued them and made them to be his special people. And when Jesus came, he realised that people still need rescuing. Remember down Palm Sunday? Yeah, we did. He came in as the great rescuer. And he was going to rescue people, but not from other nations. He was going to rescue people from their fears. He was going to rescue people from the things that they kept doing wrong and their selfishness and their greed. He was going to rescue them from their worrying about death and their fears and worries of life. And he was going to give them life in all its fullness, and life as God wanted us to have it. And so God was going to rescue them in Jesus. And so Jesus took this meal and he took the unleavened bread and he broke it. And he said, just as you used to remember how I rescued the people out of Egypt, so when you break this unleavened bread, I want you to remember that my body is going to be broken for you, to rescue you. And then he took the cup and he said, just as you have this cup to remember the lamb that was sacrificed and you put the blood on the doors of your home, so this wine is going to remind you now, from now on, of my blood that was shed on the cross. And if you believe and trust in that, you will be set free. You will never die. You will have eternal life. And you will know God as your Father. And so Jesus was saying when he was going to die on the cross on Good Friday, as we remember tomorrow, he was preparing people to say that was how he was going to rescue people so that they could be friends with God and so that they could have eternal life and not worry about sickness or dying or death, because God was with them. Yeah, I think we better tell them the story from the Bible, hadn't we? Should we read it from Mark's Gospel? Let me put you down and then we'll try and read it from Mark's Gospel. I hope you can remember the actions. I just need to give you a few to remember. We think of the Passover, that special meal the Jews celebrate. Now, I love football, so I think about passing, and I think of overhead kicks. So when we do Passover, let's try our overhead kick, okay? And then when we say the word man, I want you to do a beard. That's the sign language for man. And when I say lamb, you can go bah, like a baby lamb. And we'll make the others up as we go along. So this is taken from the Bible, from Mark's Gospel. Let's try and do it. So put my hand on something. On the first day of the party of the thin bread and the Passover lambs, were being sacrificed, Jesus' disciples asked him, "Where do you want us to prepare the Passover meal?" Jesus said to two of the disciples, "Go into the city where you will meet a man carrying a jar of water." Got my door ajar a bit. A jar of water. Follow him. You follow him like that. Follow me. Yeah. Follow him, and when he goes into a house, say to the man of the house, "Our teacher wants to know if you have a room where he can eat the Passover meal with his disciples." The man of the house will take you upstairs. Climb the stairs. He will take you upstairs and show you a large room, furnished and ready for you to use. Prepare the meal there. The two disciples went into the city. They found the man carrying the jar and followed him to the house. They asked the man whether they could have a room. He showed them upstairs, and they prepared the meal for the Passover. During the meal, Jesus took some bread in his hands. He blessed the bread and he broke it. Then he gave it to his disciples and says, "Take, this is my body." Jesus picked up a cup of wine and gave thanks to God for it. He gave it to his disciples, and they drank some. Then he said, "This is my blood, which is poured out for many people," including men. And with it, God makes his agreement, his friendship, we shake hands, his friendship with people. And from now on, Jesus said, "I will not drink wine until I drink wine when God has his big party in heaven." Then they sang a hymn and went out to the Mount of Olives. So that's the story of the Passover meal that Jesus turned into what we as Christians call communion, where we remember that because Jesus' body was broken and his blood was shed, we are rescued and we are forgiven and we have his life with us. And we don't need to worry or be afraid of anything because God is our friend and he has given us life everlasting. And that's why we celebrate on Maundy Thursday as we have communion together. So I hope you remember that, and tomorrow join us as we remember what happened on Good Friday, and perhaps to think about why we call Good Friday, Good Friday. Even though we remember that's when Jesus died for us. And perhaps we've had a clue today. Okay, Christian, are you ready? Let's say goodbye. Let's say goodbye. There we are. Goodbye. Stop eating that cake, Christian. Stop eating that cake. We're going to send it to people who want it. Okay, bye for now. Bye.